We know that plenty of fans are excited for the 2023 season to witness what Mercedes will be able to do to challenge Red Bull. But unfortunately, we have some bad news for you today. Mercedes have been found guilty of overconfidence in the past, and by the sounds of things, they aren't taking the same risk this season. There have been big changes at the team and problems with the car, and combined, that means bad news for the Silver Arrows. So, what's changing at Mercedes? What is the problem with the car, and will they be able to overcome it all and challenge again in 2023? There's been plenty of excitement about what Mercedes F1 team can do with their W14. Around October of 2022, the team boldly claimed that they knew what was wrong with their 2022 car, the W13. It didn't take an aerodynamic expert to see that the car bounced more than a kid on a pogo stick. The actual science behind why that was happening was much harder to figure out, though the side pods were blamed by many fans of the sport. But the consensus from those who know was that they weren't the main problem. Mercedes themselves said as much many times throughout the season. In fact, when the new regulations were revealed, which was possibly the strictest ever in Formula 1, fans feared that we would see a grid of identical cars. However, as F1 teams unleashed their 2022 machines at the start of the new era, it became apparent that these worries had been misguided, as there were plenty of areas for wriggle room for designers to express themselves and make a difference. These elements proved to be a driving force in the tech battle last year, and that means they will equally be important considerations for the teams as they prepare their 2023 challengers. Side pods were the area of most obvious uncertainty, and still are, with there being three very different design philosophies on the grid, shown on the Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari cars. Nonetheless, the side pods could be one of the critical areas that Mercedes will rethink over this winter break as they look to close the gap to last season's winners at Red Bull. The decision Mercedes had to make in the second half of last year was whether or not to continue with their 2022 design and try to resolve the problems to get it up to speed with the RB18. While Toto Wolff has suggested that the team is pushing on with a similar design to the W13 for 2023 because it is convinced there remains a lot of unrealized potential in it. Wolff said many times early in the season that if the team could get the rear end of the car to run close enough to the ground, they would gain up to a second in lap time. That never happened due to the porpoising they suffered so badly. Instead, they were left with way more drag than they expected. They had wanted to run a smaller rear wing for much of the season, but were completely unable to because the floor didn't generate anywhere near the levels of downforce expected because it had to be raised so far off the track. You can quickly see how the knock-on effects of different design mistakes impact the car. Mercedes' decision to build on the car from last year instead of starting a new design philosophy means they obviously see the potential that the current design has. While the ceiling might be higher with the current design than a switch to something more similar to Red Bull or Ferrari, it does mean that Mercedes may not be as competitive as the fans want them to be at the start of 2023. Toto Wolff explained this in a recent interview. "I think we have understood how we fell back, where the shortcomings are, and where we have gaps in understanding," explained Wolff. "We're working hard on putting a car on the ground that has addressed all of that. But we will only see when we start testing whether we have unlocked the potential that we believe has always been in the car. We have no doubt, when you're starting behind by half a second, that it's going to be difficult to catch up to such great organizations like Red Bull or Ferrari. Now, having said that, we are super determined in doing just that. But we need to set our expectations at a realistic level." Mercedes pushed hard throughout the 2022 season, bringing many upgrades to the car. The Silver Arrows spent several months problem-solving, rather than finding extra performance. The Austrian believes that the Silver Arrows have lost 8 to 10 months of car development. The Brackley-based team brought a major package as late as the United States Grand Prix. The upgrade worked, however, did Mercedes focus too much on 2022, neglecting 2023? Toto Wolff hopes that Mercedes can be in the mix at the front of the field, competing for wins. The Mercedes boss believes that it would give the team a morale boost to build on a strong platform to push forward. "If we perform in the way we hope, then we'd like to be part of the racing at the very front. I think that would be a starting point, but we don't take that for granted. It could well be that the gaps are like they were at the end of last season. I think there is so much potential still that within our car, within the concept, the way we drive the car, etc. That maybe our development slope can be steeper in the months to come." A common thing in Formula 1 teams, actually this applies to all sports, competitors will try to big up their opponents as part of the season-long psychological battle. Having won 2 straight drivers' championships and dominated in the way they did in 2022. Red Bull are obviously favorites for the 2023 championship, But they don't want the pressure of expectation on them though, and instead, they have been trying to direct it to other teams instead, specifically Mercedes. Obviously, Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko will be surprised to hear Toto Wolff playing down his team's chances, especially after the Austrian recently made it clear that he expects Mercedes to be the biggest threat to their title defense in 2023. They are the more stable team, and they have Hamilton, said Marko. Even if they may have gone downhill this year, they're still a very special team. In the meantime, Hamilton's lap times have repeatedly shown that he is a top driver. Mercedes is just a much stronger package than Ferrari. Toto is not confident of Mercedes' chances, while Helmut Marko is 100% sure that it's Mercedes who is going to be challenging the 2022 title winners. While Mercedes have been an incredibly strong package in recent years, things have been changing at the team. The introduction of the budget cap hurt Mercedes more than any other team. They are the biggest roster of engineers and team members on the grid, employing thousands of people to ensure they were successful. When the budget cap came in, Mercedes had to lay off members of staff to stay under the new spending limit. They also had to deny pay rises for many senior positions. While other teams such as Red Bull had the flexibility to offer more money, Red Bull made the most of this by poaching the best of the best from Mercedes' engine department for their new Red Bull Powertrains division. They weren't the only team looking hungrily at all the underpaid talent on the Mercedes roster though. Williams were as well looking at Mercedes to poach the needed talent, and they've taken one of the key personnel from the Mercedes machine, James Vowles. They appointed the former Mercedes head of strategy as their new team principal. The 43-year-old was a central figure at Mercedes during their domination of Formula One from 2014 to 2021 as motorsports strategy director. Vowles was one of a small set of influential senior people who ran Mercedes under team principal Toto Wolff. Vowles said, "It was an honor to join a team with such an incredibly rich heritage." He replaces Jos Capito, who was sacked by Williams in December after just 2 years with the team. Vowles, who starts his role as team principal on the 20th of February, said, "I cannot wait to start with Williams Racing. The team is an icon of our sport, one I greatly respect, and I'm very much looking forward to the challenge. I'm grateful for everything Toto and the team have provided, and it's been such a special experience to journey together through failure and success." Vowles will be charged with reviving the fortunes of a team who dominated F1 for large periods of the 1980s and 1990s, but who have slipped to the back of the field in recent years, finishing last for 3 of the past 4 seasons. The team have been through a series of management changes in recent years, including their sale by the founding Williams family to Doralton Capital. With little improvement in their fortunes, he said he believed Williams had great potential, and was confident we can move up the grid, he said. Doralton, which took over in 2020, was prepared to put in the funding required to improve the team, but that the impact will take a while to properly kick in. This is an absolutely massive blow to the Mercedes team. The team's race strategy was regularly questioned in 2022 as being far too conservative, but the team recognized the mistakes they were making and pledged to make changes for 2023. They probably were not expecting to lose their head of strategy though. In the past 2 years, Vowles' role at Mercedes has broadened from being focused purely on race strategy to decisions regarding the direction of the F1 team and Mercedes motorsport as a whole. It can't be overstated how bad this news is for the Silver Arrows, as Vowles has worked at Mercedes Brackley base since he started his 21-year career in F1, staying through its guises as British American Racing, Honda, Braun and then Mercedes, and taking on key engineering and race strategy roles before moving into his most recent position in 2018. He's worked with some of the most innovative and celebrated people in Formula One, and with him at the helm, Williams could start to make steps forward in the coming years. How bad is Vowles leaving for Mercedes? Is the decision to stick to the 2022 design for 2023 going to be more detrimental? Where do you think the Silver Arrows will finish in 2023? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching our video today, and if you enjoy our content, subscribe to the channel and have that notifications bell turned on to be made aware of our future uploads, as we have plenty coming up for you about the 2023 Formula One season.